we've been back on Reddit again because it's a really fun place to be if you hate sunshine.
And daisies.
Yeah, or if you've got severe hay fever. Anyway, we have been looking at more hot takes because they're funny and we enjoy roasting them, and we've got nothing better to do with the afternoon. So we're going to have So with that said, we're going to carry on and have a look at some more.
Yes.
Here's a good one. The Doctor lies is a terrible excuse for the bad continuity. I mean, yeah, that's fair.
There's a valid point.
You know, when people realise they've written themselves a corner, goes, well, the Doctor lies, so it's fine.
Yeah. Thumbs down, thumbs up, thumbs down, I don't know. We agree, don't we? Thumbs up. Yeah.
We got really confused there.
It doesn't take much. I got hit as a baby on the head. I fell on my head as a baby is what I meant to say. I didn't get hit as a baby. Don't do that.
I love how you've just told people to don't hit babies.
In this day and age, I feel like sometimes we might have to.
Doctor Who YouTube is 50% offensively bad takes, bowel striking, all the right-wing stuff. 40% clickbait garbage. Any channel that's like Doctor Who 60th news and Capaldi 100% confirmed for dubious reasons, and then like 10% that are well thought out content. Which one of those do we fit into? I'm hopefully not the racist one.
No, we're very family friendly.
We don't do clickbait because we don't know anything.
No, we don't. We find things. We normally report news that's been reported to us.
Yeah, we usually talk about news like weeks after everyone else has talked about it. To be fair, because we just record like once or twice a week. Yeah, so anything can happen. By the time we get around to it,
I can't afford Doctor Who magazine every week.
Well, we usually find out news from the internet.
Yeah, I find out off Doctor Who magazine when I get it.
Look at you
spend money.
Analog man.
It's nice for the posters, actually. David Tennant one sleeping over my bed is...
over your bed?
It's on top of my bed. Well, not on top of this, hanging on the wall above my bed. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like you full on got David Tennant on your ceiling or something.
No. Oh, God, no.
I don't believe you. I fully believe that.
I will send you a photo of my ceiling later.
I don't want a photo of your bedroom.
Of my ceiling, not my bedroom.
Yeah, well, all of it scares me. Who, as in 1990 to 2004, like the wilderness years, deserves a lot more love. It shaped a lot of the ideas attributed to New Who, and no one recognises that. Stuff like the Time War, the idea of the Doctor's name as a promise and everything. I completely agree with this. This is the best one that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
I love all the wilderness era stuff. Like when Doctor Who magazine was at its peak, because it wasn't an official part of the show. It was able to just do its own thing, and it was fun. The comics were awesome. The audios, the books, some of the books are a bit iffy and some of them are very lore heavy, and you know, if you miss one then you don't know what's going on and they're all very difficult to pick up. But the ones I have read are very good, and you know, Big Finish came around about then, and you know, all the fun little sort of skits and stuff. It's a very nostalgic thing for me because I remember seeing a lot of them on VHS, you know, so I agree with that. That's a very good take. Thumbs up.
If it wasn't for the wilderness era, we wouldn't have got New Who at all, I don't think.
No, exactly, because that's what kept the interest going.
Yeah, that demand there is what brought back New Who under Russell T Davies.
Yeah, because alright, the show had a cult following. It was like a very big cult following. You know, it wasn't like sort of your Blake Sevens and things, which have a strong fan base, but not really enough for a general audience to be interested if it came back. You know, you might have one or two people go, I remember seeing that, but I'm not bothered. Whereas Doctor Who always has that sort of element to it. The Lumia is a great idea, and I hope Big Finish explores the gap between her and Dewan now that they have Dewan. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, the Lumia is essentially an incarnation of the Master that comes after Missy and is like sort of almost like the War Doctor to the Doctor. The Lumia to the Master is like the one that sort of breaks the promise of being evil and crazy, and actually takes like a sort of more morally right view of everything.
So complete opposite of War Doctor.
Yeah, essentially being.
So it's a flip personality.
Yeah, okay. Sort of like, you know, it's you know how the War Doctor is the one that breaks the rules. Everything is a bit darker, a bit more, you know, extreme. Yeah. The Lumia is them. All right, they're not necessarily perfect, but the Lumia is basically the Master's sort of off incarnation that doesn't really fit the rest of them and is much more of a nice person.
Okay.
And I think it's a really good. Yeah, it was a really cool creative choice, to be fair.
If they bring that to the screen, that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Chibnall's era is overhated. However, that doesn't mean criticism of it is invalid. It just doesn't single-handedly murder your children like some people claim. It's just meh TV with some good and bad bits.
Thumbs down.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like I don't hate it in the sense that, you know, it makes me want to like kick the shit into my telly every time it comes on like some people.
No,
because for me, I just go, it's not for me. I just don't really, you know, rewatch it that often. I watched it when it was coming out. I've sort of cherry picked a few bits here and there.
I think the only time I've rewatched the Chibnall era was just before Power of the Doctor, just to get myself re-caught back up.
Yeah, I did a couple of refresh. I still skipped a couple because I was like, they weren't really that important and I'm not that bothered.
Orphan 55.
Yeah, but I just don't think... I mean, Overhated, to some extent, yes. Criticism is valid and people are allowed to be sort of quite vocal about it, providing their criticism is sort of justified and is based in sort of like well thought out arguments rather than just, this is shit because the Doctor's a woman.
Yeah.
Because that's not
there
really
was
relevant
a lot
to the...
of that going on.
Yeah. But I think any era of the show is allowed to be hated and loved in equal measure. I think it's,
every era has its bad points. I just think the Chibnall era had more bad points than the rest of them.
Yeah, I think you can look at, some people would say that Moffat's era is overloved, for example. It works, it swings and roundabouts, but I agree that there's definitely, it did just feel like very meh at best, and then some very terrible parts of it, but there were some like good moments chucked in. I think Power of the Doctor the first time round, when you don't really know anything and you're not really paying that much attention to how much the plot doesn't make any sense, and you're in it for the fun, like, oh my god, it's Paul McGann moments.
Yeah, like we were when we first watched it.
Yeah.
And then we watched it and we're like, great. And then we got to the pool, we got to the edge bit, and we're both happy as Larry again.
Yeah. Older Big Finish was more interesting and experimental, but New Big Finish isn't bad. They still execute their gimmicks with enough force of narrative to justify them a lot of the time. Yeah, I think I agree. It was definitely more experimental and wacky. I do prefer the earlier Big Finish stuff, to be honest, but that doesn't, I still enjoy the new stuff as well. The new stuff still puts out bangers. Like, it was only the other day that I was listening to a story from last year that sort of still blew my socks off. But they just, I do feel they don't do like the gimmicky stuff as much anymore because they've got to appeal to a wider audience, and they're putting more and more stuff out all the time. Because back when Big Finish started, you get like one release a month, and now you get like 4 or 5 of different eras. And I think the experimental stuff, where you're telling a story through an audio medium because they're telling a story where like the characters are blind and everything they're seeing is just like a white light. That works. You wouldn't get that now. But I think if they overuse the gimmicks, then that makes them more gimmicky than original. They were at the start. They were original ways to tell a story. But if you overdo them, then they become gimmicks. If you constantly do, this is a monster that is completely composed of sound, that does eventually sort of go, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think that there's still, I think it's still just as much good stuff now as it was before. I think that there's just so much more of it. It's difficult because I can't listen to everything that comes out because I don't have enough time, money.
Yeah, it's a lot easier if it's just once a month. You get something new.
Yeah, I do.
You can listen to it throughout that month, and you got plenty of time to get through it before the next issue.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I sort of wish that we did. Not necessarily because I'm not saying that they should put less out, but it's just so much more difficult because you've got to pick what you want now. You go, do I get this or do I get this? Or do I get this?
Bring the price down. That's one thing they could do, is bring the price of it down.
Yeah, but they are only a small company though at the end of the day, and inflation.
Yeah, but if you're bringing out a lot... My argument here would be you're bringing out a lot of content. Don't put yourself at a risk of being in, like, debt for you're not taking in more than you're putting out. But if you bring the price down a little bit, you'll probably get more people buying in. And then you find people are able to buy more than just one story each time. They can buy maybe 2 or 3. It could work out in your favour. Tom's hot take is that Big Finish is just expensive. It's not bad by any means. Big Finish is great, but it is a bit on the price side for me. Here's one that I don't agree with. Sort of, the history of the Doctor's origin is good and should be put on TV. Well, that's already out of date, but I never wanted to see the origin of the Doctor. I never wanted to see sort of like where the Doctor came from when the Doctor growing up. Like, I never wanted to see anything pre an unearthly child, to be honest. No, I mean, like the little. Well, I take it back. I never want to see anything pre the Doctor leaving Gallifrey. Yeah, because I mean, again, in some cases, like not a series on the children becoming Time Lords and stuff, but like little glimpses into what they went through to get there is okay, but not anything massive on it. Just like you got with when they're talking about the Master and how he stared into the untempered schism, like little bits like that. Yeah, sort of flashes and things that are related to the plot and stuff, but I don't necessarily want like a full-on backstory of this happened here and then he did this and then he did that. There's a straight thumbs down.
Clara is the best companion in the show's history, and I thought she was great even in Series 7.
Get educated. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Series 7 is probably where she's at her best.
She should have gone after Series 7. Still believe that wholeheartedly.
If you can wholeheartedly put your hand on your heart and say that you would prefer Clara to Donna or Sarah Jane or Joe Grant, you know what I mean? Jamie, whatever. You're lying.
Yeah.
You're lying.
Yeah, I think she's one of the characters who did overstay her welcome on the show.
Yeah.
And it became apparent because there was 5 or 6 different ways she could have left the show for someone else to come in, and they never pulled the trigger right until the end of Series 9, which I felt was a bit of a shame. But because like Series 7 that was a perfect write-off for a character. Like, I don't think you could have made it better.
Yeah.
And it was a very strong thing to the ending to the character as well, and tied into why she was at the Dalek Asylum and all these other places along the way. We didn't need to go back to Victorian Clara.
The Trial of the Time Lord was one of the most cohesive and best structured stories in all of Classic Who. Was it though? I mean, there were some major issues behind the scenes with, you know, Eric Saywood quitting and like withdrawing permission for his final scripts to be used and having to bring in someone that like literally the sort of 3 days before filming to write the end of it. And but I just think as a whole, it's just a really weird creative choice. Like they know that the program effectively is on trial by the BBC. They're giving them another series to go, right, don't do what you did before, otherwise we'll take it off the air again. So they go, well, we're on trial, so what we'll do is we'll put the Doctor on trial so it like reflects what's going on. That's a stupid idea. And I'm surprised it didn't get the show taken off again, to be honest. I think it came back with the conditions that they get a new Doctor, and I think they would have probably replaced Bonnie Langford if she hadn't been under contract anyway. But I mean, the parts of Trial that I think are great. There are parts that are dreadful. I think the whole ending to it is dreadful. But I think it's Colin Baker at his best in some parts of it.
On the screen.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like in his first TV tenure, it's him at his absolute best.
Yeah.
He does not work for me, and that's due to Eccleston's portrayal, though I like him in other things.
Thumbs down.
Yeah,
Thumbs down.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Eccleston has done brilliant performances in other things, mostly before his time on Doctor Who, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Because are you telling me that you'd rather watch Christopher Eccleston as Malekith in Thor the Dark World? Because I certainly wouldn't.
No.
I can understand if you don't particularly like the Ninth Doctor and the story out, but I don't really feel like... I mean, obviously everything's subjective, but I don't really see the criticism level towards Christopher Eccleston as a performer really sort of necessary, to be honest. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah. If it weren't for him, the revival probably wouldn't have been as good as as popular as it have been.
No, it wouldn't.
And he's the first Doctor we fully both watched the full season. Sorry.
That damned pollen!
Yeah, so without Eccleston, there's no revival being as popular as it is now. He was the first Doctor as well. We fully watched the full season of, like, from start to finish.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd love to see more of him on the screen. I know he's doing this Big Finish stuff now, and from what I've heard, it is great.
He's great. Some of the stories have been when they're good, they're really good, but quite a lot of them are very standard.
Era-esque. When they're good, they're good, but when they're not, they're not.
You would say Peter Davison again. We've had words about this. There's another hot take that he doesn't think Peter Davison is very good.
Yeah, well, it's down to his writing. His acting was incredible. I loved him as the Doctor.
Here's my hot take. I think Davison's era is the most consistently...
It's consistent, yeah.
Like, good. Well, you can't say it's consistent when you just want it up and down. Some of it's really good, some of it's really... You can't say it's consistent then. That's just a bloody contradiction, my friend.
Like, it's when it is
chatting out of your arsehole.
When it is good, though, it is very good. But like, there's nothing I would say is bad in his era. It's just there's some stuff that's not as good as other episodes, but you get that with everything.
So that's not consistent, then, is it? I think Davison's era...
I'm finished.
You're fired. Or at least you wouldn't be if we were making any money. Hit that subscribe button so I can fire him.
You cheeky.
I hate the speeches where the Doctor feels they need to shout, I am the Doctor, and ... I can kind of get behind it. Some of them do work for me. Others, I think, where it's just like, I am the Doctor. Well, like Capaldi, where what's that one where he's like, I am the Doctor and I save people. And it's like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, it's just like we kind of got nearly 60 years of that now.
Why did you look at your watch and say 60 years?
I'm getting old. I'm getting old.
This man's so old he got a calendar for a watch.
No, there's one in Flatline though, Capaldi's speech and that, where he's like talking about
Yeah, that's alright.
That was a good speech, I think.
That was another little fun selection of Reddit hot takes. Be sure to have a look at the first one we did. That was a little bit shorter because somebody forgot to charge the laptop, and that somebody was me. But there's still a couple more that we want to talk about that we found, so we're going to do another quick video on this later on in the week.
Yes.
Or it could be Friday. I don't know.
It'll be up in some point.
By the time you see this,
it'll be in the process of being up.
Yeah, it will be edited anyway, and I don't know why I'm trying to predict the future because I can't. However, if you do want to know when the next one's out, all you've got to do is click the subscribe button and ring the bell and leave some comments about what your hot takes are.
And if you like the video, hit the like button.
Yeah, share it around if you want to share it with people. It's all very self-explanatory, really. Bye!